Hey, Bacon 650 here. I want to talk really shortly what it was like to be on a sponsored team. A lot of people are like, oh man, it must have been great. You were sponsored, you didn't have to pay for your entry fee and you got free BBs. Yeah, it's true. It's really fun and great, but there is another side to it that people usually don't talk about. Being part of a team that was sponsored, while it had a lot of benefits, also meant that we, in exchange, had certain obligations to our sponsors, which actually meant when there was events, we actually had to go to the events. It wasn't like, nah, we just don't feel like playing it. We had to make sure we at least sent enough team members to actually have a presence on the field to actually represent our sponsors. And since our team was also not only sponsored but part of a school club, we had to be on our absolute best behavior. In addition, we had to be a bit better than best behavior. And that doesn't mean actually winning the game or taking the objectives. It meant that we had to be a positive influence on the community, so it meant helping people, not just coming in there and just sweeping the field and just being super competitive, but actually making sure everyone had a good time. Which means since our team was more, I would say, more milsim oriented as opposed to competitive oriented, it actually meant that we weren't supposed to play too competitively. We were almost there as additional staff, as almost a staff team, in which case our goal was to make sure everyone had a good time. Kind of an example of this I'll give, it actually happened before our team was sponsored, but it probably helped get our team sponsored, was when we were in an event, I would call an alt sim event, so a bit like a mil sim event, but a little looser in standards, but it had that role-playing aspect. What had happened was the different factions and sides, the US, and I think like the rebels and stuff like that, and the Russians and stuff. There was basically this huge triangle of, there was about, I want to say about 8 teams representing different sides. Of course, the U.S. side had, the Marines, the Army, so they had all their little different sides. Our team, which was supposed to be kind of the professional mercenaries, the PMC group, there was that side. There was like the more rebel-like mercenaries, and there's different rebel factions. But what had happened is that everyone kind of made all these different truces and compacts and peace accords to the point that it happened that no one could attack anyone, because if we attacked, Team B, that would affect our truce with with these rebels and stuff like that. So what had happened is that the game got locked up for, I want to say, about an hour and a half, where you couldn't shoot anybody. So eventually the staff said, guys, can you help us out, and our team, we just decided to backstab somebody just to get the game going. And, that's what you can expect from being a sponsored as a sponsored team, is that the staff may ask you to say, hey, to improve the gameplay, we want you to either, backstab someone or intentionally lose or pull back, so that way we can keep a good, almost like theatrical experience to make the game enjoyable. So if you get a sponsored team, that was something we were asked to do sometime, was to actually play out or do things that were not competitive, but kind of help the experience overall for everyone. And it's actually kind of fun to do those kind of things, because you can kind of play it out, you can make it dramatic, you can really get the game going. So actually you have to know how to make losing kind of fun and actually throw away some things in order to have a fun theatrical experience. So would I recommend being sponsored? Well, that depends on how you want to play. Do you want to play and be super competitive? Well, sponsorship, or at least from my experience, sponsorship may not be your thing. Now, it is to say that more of the competitive airsoft things like speed sim and stuff, that's a different world. My intake of it is kind of more that skirmish level to mil sim level, that kind of thing, where it's general gameplay. It's either not super competitive to more role playing. From that aspect, if you want being on a sponsored team like that, it was more about improving other players, not your team, but other players' experience. It was pretty much your essentially not staff, but you kind of had that responsibility of making sure everyone had a good time like other staff members. Now you're independent, so you can't like say, hey, you get out of the game, you're not calling your hits. That's not what you're there to do, but you're there to assist the staff in helping produce a fun experience for everyone. So that's kind of my experience with being on a sponsored team. Now, our current team right now, Crazy Cat, we're not sponsored. We're completely independent. At the same time, we're bringing a lot of what I've learned from being on a sponsored team to try to make sure everyone has a good time. So that's kind of, we still kind of take that stance. We're there to be supportive of staff and of the events. Some events we go to, we don't have to really take on that role, but we try to kind of take that spirit of, hey, we're here to have fun, we're here to have a good time at the event, and we're willing to, staff ask us, hey, could you mind doing this to help kind of the gameplay? Yeah, we'll do it. So if you see us out there and you want us to say, hey, the gameplay's not going, would you guys mind doing this or that? Yeah, we'll try to help out, and we'll also give our feedback. We see something not going well, or from our experience, like, hey guys, if this is what's going to happen, we've seen this before, we'll warn the staff. We've only had to do it on a handful of occasions. We've even had to just actually stop playing sometimes to help deal with things such as kids getting stuck in the mud and stuff. And we're going to be those individuals who are going to kind of give up our gameplay in order to help other people. So we still kind of bring some of that thing, but being on a sponsored team, it's not about free ammo, discounts on gear. It's really not about that. It's about you wanting to help the staff out, create a better game experience for everyone. So you're kind of you're kind of playing a staffing role, but not really. You're wanting to kind of help the experience of the event. So it's not about getting free stuff. It's about helping out with the event, and you're getting some compensation for it. So that's what it's like to be on a sponsored team. So I hope that gives you guys some insight of what it's really like, or at least it's been from my experience. So it's Air 650 here with Crazy Cat Airsoft. Have a good day.